I'm back, reviewing some more old good comics, some good old comics. Kind of gave a preview of these and then kind of a extensive-ish preview of these in a different video. But read these. They hold up pretty good. They're just fun, enjoyable comics. If you see them, grab them. This is the start, the first issue of the new, at the time, the new X-Men title. This is from 93? Let's see. 91. Sorry. October of 91. This is Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. This is basically the title they gave Jim Lee. Jim Lee and Chris Claremont are writing it. Jim Lee is doing the art. This is X-Force, which was the title that they gave to Liefeld. He plots it, and then Fabian Nicieza scripts it. It's from 92. Look at this cover. People like the dog on Liefeld. I'm not the biggest Liefeld fan, but I don't think he's bad. I kind of was in the oh ho ho, look how bad he draws stuff kind of phase for a while, but then it was always out of context. You always see them out of context. You just see a picture. You don't see the whole work. You just see a picture. And anybody's single drawing in a panel can be bad. As a whole, his stuff is just, it's very energetic. He reminds me, he's kind of the 90s version of Jack Kirby, which it's a lot of high energy, lots of ideas, excitement. Maybe it's not the greatest drawn thing in the world, but it's really enjoyable, and people loved it. This cover's great. I mean, Cable looks amazing. My biggest complaint about it would be everybody has the same hair, basically. But it looks great. I'd never really read X-Force. I have a few around that I've read over the years, but I hadn't read this one, so I read it. It's not the greatest issue of anything, but it's perfectly fine. Got Shatterstar and Sauron there. It's just really enjoyable. You got all these just everything's excitement all the time. Everybody's running, everybody's yelling, everybody's threatening. It's just lots of fun. You get great panels, where he's, everything's kind of pointing, travels through. Look at him, something like this. I would say, yeah, this is a little wonky there, but whatever. It's good stuff. Yeah. I like this bit where they're in the dark and they're kind of fighting. You just see their teeth and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But this, by the way, this thing is really held up. This is just regular old newsprint paper. Maybe this was this may have been, I think they call it the Baxter paper, the slightly more expensive newsprint. It's very white. It doesn't have that grainy bits in it you see on the cheaper stuff. So maybe that's why it's held up so well. But it looks really good. Just lips and hair and pouches, and it's good looking stuff. Everything just kind of look at that. Everything looks great. This is all drawn. Nobody's There's a little backup story at the end here where this guy called Weapon X, which he looks familiar. I don't remember this guy, but I thought it was weird that he's Weapon X. But same thing. It's just fighting constantly. It's good stuff. This is the 15 titles. Now I think these were the regular titles. I think these special prices, these were this nicer paper titles and or magazines. So, this ad for Three Musketeers is better drawn than almost anything in a Marvel comic now. So that looks great. And then X-Men. Let's see. Got him. No, don't have him. Got him. Don't have him. Okay. Bill and Ted. Great movies. I like the second one too. People kind of complain about the second one. I thought the second one's fine. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I remember enjoying it. Clothes are great. Everything pops. Just looks good. You got this big splash page. Everything looks great. I mean, these are just great comics. If you are like not finding stuff that you like or want to read right now, go back and find some of these 90s, late 80s, and even this drawing here in this ad is great. Late 80s, Rogue. Look at that. Looking amazing. By the way, Nick Fury. Nick Fury is this iteration of Nick Fury. I always thought this was him. Oh, sorry. This is Magneto's really old costume. I always thought this was him on a table. Like he was on that confused me as a kid. I thought, why is he on like a operating table? And later on, I kind of read it a few more times, and I'm like, oh, that's a big screen. Okay. Look how intense this guy looks. Nick Fury is John Wayne as James Bond with sci-fi elements. That's sort of the initial, like, if you read the old Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.s and stuff like that, he's basically John Wayne or like a rough New York son of a dock worker or something as James Bond. Get this another great splash page. You find out who everybody is on this page. Explain who everybody is. It's super clear. It's great. Everybody pops. Everybody looks great. They're all in the characters as you remember them. It's as they should be. It's great. Everybody looks good. Colossus looks like amazing. This is like a pretty classic team. I would say the only person that's probably missing from this being a super classic team is probably Nightcrawler. He was in Excalibur at this point in time. But just good, solid stuff. There's fake outs. This is some really great Eric Larson art. It kind of makes me want to see like an Eric Larson these guys. It makes me want to see like an Eric Larson X-Men, which I don't think ever happened, but Wolverine looking cool. Scott and Wolverine getting into it. Good stuff. Just your classic X-Men stuff. This is, I think, before Gambit and Rogue were actually an item. Good stuff. Let's look at pages. You got, check it out. This is in relation to a different video I did, but Magneto's nipples. Focus. All right, so it's Magneto on Asteroid M. This is when he sank the Linen. They don't really. I was surprised they don't tell you what issue of X-Men or Uncanny X-Men that happened in. I was kind of surprised by that. This is the X-Men confronting Magneto a little bit. These two had been kind of an item in the Savage Land in some previous issues, so it's kind of like she's trying to kind of talk to him, and it's just not working. Of course, it ends up in a big fight. Then she gets injured. He freaks out, sets off a nuke. By the way, written by Chris Claremont. Who does this look like? Who is this person with this jet? Does that remind anybody of Carol Danvers? Chris Claremont's a big fan of Carol Danvers. He likes these short, haircutted ladies with in the Air Force. Kind of interesting. So you get all this business. He's injured. These are the extreme. I can't remember what they're called. I can't remember, but they're like his. They become his kind of new Brotherhood of Evil Mutant kind of group. There's a fight. Look at how awesome all of this stuff is. It's just great art. It's constant action. When there's dialogue and there's fighting, it's all awesome. Awesome stuff is happening. Like, why they can't do this now, it absolutely boggles my mind. Like, this was a #1. This was a big deal at the time. Hulk looking cool. It's a different ad, but same artist. I wonder who that is. But why they can't do stuff like this now, I don't know. Marvel seems impossible right now of actually putting a good, solid comic out that has any sort of action. I don't know. But if you see any of these or any of the stuff from these early runs with Jim Lee, even the stuff after Jim Lee and Chris Claremont and Liefeld and Fabian Nicieza, pick it up. I guarantee I got these for $1 or less. This I may have picked up at the newsstand at the time for $1.50. And this was $1.25 at the time. I probably picked these up, at a half-price books, or I got them in a big bundle of like random comics. And I'm sure they cost less than $1. So if you see them, grab them. They're solid. They're solid entertainment. You can read this. I mean, there was stuff going on, previous to the story, and there was stuff that this leads into. There's stuff that it leads into, both in this little mini story and in the end of the issue. But it's just, I sat down, I read it, I enjoyed it. Another thing, same thing with this. It leads into stuff. There's stuff that happened before. You're not lost. It's just a good, solid story. When I'm reading a new comic, newer Marvel comic, newer DC comic, I don't have a problem putting them down. In fact, sometimes I have a problem picking them back up to read them. This older stuff, I get frustrated when I have to put them down. I want to just read them from start to finish without stopping. I get annoyed when I have to put them down to do some sort of errand or something like that. So that's it. I mean, it's just like, I want to continue to read this. I want to continue to read this. I don't want to read 99% of the modern stuff. So modern Marvel, I think I was trying to say. But yeah, if you see them, grab them. Anything really from, I would say, the late 80s to early 90s from Marvel is going to be pretty solid. I can't really attest to DC, but anyway, thank you. Bye.